Hello guys, thanks for clicking on the video. It's Sunday here, it's a rest day for me, so I'm just gonna go grab some sushi and I want to show you guys how I eat on a normal sort of day and then talk a little bit about nutrition. I've been having a lot of questions about what I do when I'm cutting weight for comp, and then what I do in my off season and how to track macros and that sort of thing. So I wanted to show you guys what I do and answer some questions that I think are really simple, but I've realized that not a lot of people have had maybe the same advice or same experiences as me. So I want to give you guys an insight into what I do, and so hopefully it will help you and answer any questions you have. So let's go get sushi.
Eagle double G. Eagle double G. Top dog, bite them all, yeah, I'm burning it up. DPGC, you should be turning it up. CPT, LBC, yeah, we hooking back up. And when they bang us in the club, baby, you got to get up. Cuz homies, thug homies, yeah, they giving it up. Low lie, yo lie, boy, we living it up. Taking chances while we dancing in the party for show. Slip my girl a 44 when she crept in the back door. Chickens looking at me strange, but you know I don't care. Step up in the smother, just a swank in my hair. Trick, quick talking, crip walk if you down with the set. Take a bullet with some grip and take the smoke on this jet. Out of town, put it down for the father of rap. And if you happen to get cracked, trick, shut your trap. Come back, get back, that's the part of success. If you believe in the S, you be relieving your stress. Da 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 da, it's the one and only Eagle double G. Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg. Da 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 da, you know I'm mobbing with the D.O.E. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da, it's the one and only Eagle double G. Eagle double G. Hold up.
Swirl. Hello. Okay, so we're back now and talking about nutrition and what I do to cut down from my weight class in the 52s as a powerlifter. So, and some of the tips that I have for you guys and some of the questions that I've been asked. So, when you're thinking about losing weight or gaining weight, firstly you've got to think about what are my maintenance calories. Okay, so that is the amount of calories that your body burns just to function and to stay alive, to do all the things that it needs to do. So if you are to eat that amount of calories, you should stay at the same weight you are. So you shouldn't gain weight or lose weight if you're eating at maintenance. So then what do you do if you want to lose weight? Well, quite obviously then you would have to eat less than that amount of calories, and that's going to be called a caloric deficit. Similarly, if you want to gain weight, you're going to have to eat more than that. So that's going to be a calorie surplus. Okay, so that sounds all well and good. However, if you just want to take it at that and think, okay, I want to eat in a calorie deficit, you can run into problems if you are a strength athlete. So if you just want to eat in a calorie deficit, but you eat way too little and you don't get the right amount of macronutrients in and you don't get the right nutrient timing, then you could run the risk of losing muscle and not performing at your best. So I'm going to talk about three things that are the three things to consider when you are looking at going in a calorie deficit. The first thing in terms of importance is definitely your calorie balance. So eating less calories then you're burning, okay? So eating in a caloric deficit, that's the most important thing. However, there needs to be other things to consider. So the second most important thing is your macronutrients, okay, and the distribution of these. So your macronutrients is your proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, and we'll talk about why they're important soon. And then the third thing is nutrient timing, okay, and this is something that I think is possibly overlooked by people who are starting out, or even people who have been doing it for a while. But nutrient timing is something that I found to be really, really important and really helpful for me when I'm cutting for a powerlifting comp. Okay. So we spoke about calorie deficit. If you're wanting to cut weight, you can sort of see how you go with that. So you might want to start off just by cutting, for example, 10% of the calories that you eating at maintenance, and just see how your body responds, or you might cut a little bit more. There's no hard and fast rule for everybody, and everybody is different, so you have to keep that in mind. The next important thing that we are going to talk about is your macros, so protein, carbs, and fats. Now, if you are a strength athlete, or any type of athlete actually, and you're thinking about tracking your macros, the most important macro for you is going to be protein, okay? So protein is literally the building blocks for your muscles, and your muscles, you need to think about them as a dynamic tissue, okay? So they are constantly building and then breaking down, building, breaking down, and constantly repairing. So in order for that repairing to take place and for you to build new muscle and get stronger, you need to be supplying your body with protein from the foods that you eat. Okay, so people, especially I think just general population people, or people just starting out, tend to find it difficult to hit their protein goals. So a general rule of thumb is to have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. However, that can go as low as maybe 0.8 per pound of body weight, or even 0.6 if you're not a strength athlete, okay? So we all need to make sure that we are trying to get enough protein in, okay? So how do we do that? Well, the things that I eat are the obvious things firstly. So there's eggs, fish, meat, chicken, that sort of thing that people think about when they think of protein. But the other things that I like to have are just things that I enjoy. So there's these protein milks. These are so good. They've got, what is it? 30 grams of protein per drink. But they also have 30 grams of carbs and 5 grams of fat. So if you're gonna have those, you need to make sure that they fit your macros, but they're delicious. The other things that I like are Chobani yogurts. They have about 14 to 15 grams of protein per serve. And just like protein powder, I put that with oats and things like that, just to make sure that I'm getting the protein I need and it's not boring all the time. It's not just chicken, for example. Okay, so trying to get in enough protein is going to be your most important macro, really. The next most important one is your carbohydrates. So any strength athlete needs to be thinking about food as fuel for their body, okay? Your food is fueling your workout. It's what's going to make you hit your numbers if you're a power lifter. It's what's going to make you run faster if you're a sprinter, that sort of thing. So you need to be making sure that you're fueling your body for your workouts, and your carbohydrate is going to be your main source of fuel and energy. If you're in a calorie deficit, you may not be able to eat the same amount of carbohydrates as someone who was eating at maintenance or in a calorie surplus, but it's important that you still are getting enough carbohydrates for you in order to fuel your workouts, as I said. Okay, and then the last one is fats. So this one is not to be overlooked. A lot of people have really low fat diets when they're trying to cut weight, which to some extent is okay, and you might be able to cut out some of the fats from your diet if you're having a lot. However, you need to be making sure that you are still getting a minimum, a base level for your body. So especially for women, fats are so important for your hormones, your mood, all that sort of thing. Fats are literally the the walls that make up your cells in your body. So you need to be making sure that you're having the minimum amount of fat in order to function properly. Okay, I remember when I was cutting, I probably cut my fats down too low, and I was, as well as being super emotional, I also wasn't actually losing weight because my body was almost going into like a starvation mode and holding on to whatever I was eating. And as soon as I upped my fats a little bit, the weight started to drop again. Okay, so a general rule is to have about 30% of your calories should come from fats. Obviously this can differ, and you can have a little bit less than that, and depending on who you are, that can obviously change, but that's a good rule of thumb for the general population. So we've talked about the importance of your calories, that's your first one. Also your macronutrients and having a good split of those. The last thing that I want to talk about is your nutrient timing, and this one's often overlooked or just not well understood. But nutrient timing is something, especially for strength athletes, that you can use to your advantage, and it's really going to be very helpful for you. That's something that I had to use to take advantage of a lot when I was cutting for the 52s, okay? So what that means is, when am I going to consume those proteins, carbs and fats? Protein, a good rule of thumb is to make sure that you are consuming some sort of protein at least every 4 hours. Okay, so that way you are making sure that you're not running the risk of losing muscle, and you're providing your body with a continual supply of protein. Probably the most important time for having your protein is also going to be after your workout, okay? When you are training, you're creating little muscle tears all the time, okay? And you want to replenish your body and get protein in after you train to help repair those muscles and to build new ones. In terms of carbohydrates, when should you have your carbs? Well, as we spoke about, food is fuel for your body. You want to be fueling your body to train hard, especially if you're a powerlifter, especially if you are getting close to comp. You want to be making sure that you can hit those numbers that you need to hit. And the way to do that is to make sure that you're having enough carbs. Enough carbs before and after your training, okay? Before training to fuel your workout, and after training to replenish your system, okay? So for me, that was probably the most important thing cutting for the 52s. I had to cut down to about 1,500 calories, which for me isn't a great deal, so I made sure that I ate the majority of my carbs before and after training, so that I could get the most benefit from them. And then I didn't have carbs later on when I wasn't training, because I didn't really need them then, even though I wanted them then. Sometimes they're the sacrifices that you have to make if you are cutting for a competition. And then fats. So fats actually slow your digestion a little. So you can use that to your advantage. What you can do is have fats with your dinner before you go to bed. And what that does is slows your digestion so that your body is getting a slower, constant supply of nutrients when you sleep. Okay, so especially if you have some protein and some fats with dinner, then you're getting that slow release of protein through the night, okay, because that's going to be a long time, that's going to be more than 4 hours. So if you get that slow release of protein, that's going to be more beneficial for you. Okay, so a little recap. We have 3 things to think about when you're thinking about losing weight or cutting for a competition. First is your calorie balance, which is the most important thing. So eating in a caloric deficit if you're cutting weight, or surplus if you are wanting to put on weight. Second thing is your macronutrients, okay, having a balanced split between those 3. And third thing is your nutrient timing. Especially for a strength athlete, you want to be performing optimally. You want to use your food to your advantage, okay, and have it work for you. So that is everything in a nutshell, but obviously everybody is different, okay? So everyone will have a different maintenance, they'll have a different way that they respond to the different split of macros at different times that they train, so their nutrient timing is going to be different preferences of food to eat, and all those things, okay? So if you are struggling a little bit with all this stuff, feel free to send me a message on Instagram at Emma_McRae, and I can talk to you, and we can set up some online coaching for macronutrients, which will be specific to you and what your goals are and how your body responds to things. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or as I said, send me a direct message. Learning about macros and tracking the food that you're eating is so good because you learn so much and you're not just following a diet and not understanding why you're doing it. So I really think it's the best thing that you can do, and you learn so much about your body and how it works, and then you can use it to your advantage and fuel your workouts to the best of your ability. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.